I talk to clients all the time and they're like, well, I just don't know if I'm going to get a job. I'm like, no, you're going to get a job. You're going to get a job. Now, you've got to put in the work to get the job. I'm going to be here with you to try to help you get the job, but you're going to get the job. You've got to keep going. You want to quit. Like, you don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. How many times do you follow up? Because I know there are a lot of job seekers out there that don't follow up. You get the interview, you don't hear anything, or maybe you do hear something and they go, yeah, sorry, we're not interested. Okay, what now? You'll follow up? By the way, that's a warm lead, by the way. That's a warm lead. Like, if you're still looking for work 4 to 6 weeks later, call them back and remind them that you met. What if the person they hired didn't work out? What if there's growth? Like, there's so many variables, but if you don't continue to follow up, you're not going to know. Every no you get is going to get you that much closer to the yes. And you only need the one.
Welcome back to another episode of the Who You Know Show podcast, where what you know is important, but who you know can make all the difference in your business, career, relationships, and life. My name is Trevor Houston, and on this show, you'll learn the strategy, grit, and mindset it takes to overcome obstacles so you can level up in your career, recover your cash flow, and live the life of purpose that God intended for you. Don't forget to look at the mic drop moments time-stamped in the show notes below. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure to pay it forward, subscribe, and leave an honest review so we can improve. Thanks for listening. My name is Trevor Houston, and please enjoy this episode of the Who You Know Show.
Let me give you a little bit of Jason's background. He's a career coach at Jewish Family Services who provides individualized assistance to identify career options for those in transition. So we got an opportunity and did a presentation at your facility. I got to see behind the scenes. Y'all have a pantry. And tell us all about the resources that are there and available.
The food pantry right now is all mobile. It's Thursdays from 9 to 12.
Wow.
I would suggest you get there early. They are feeding hundreds of people each week. I'm in the career coach, but we do have financial coaches as well to help out with their finances. We also have counselors online that can help with serious mental illnesses as well.
Yeah, I think that the job search, it takes a big impact on people in multiple different areas. So it's your financial situation, your mental health. There's a domino effect in it. It just really, it hurts people. They say it's actually like a loss.
Yeah,
when you lose
go
your
through
job,
the stages of grieving.
Yeah. And then tackle on not being able to support the family and the fear of losing your home or whatever. Like, all those different fears start to creep in, and so that's where the mental side of it comes in, right?
Yeah, it's you say that because that does go hand in hand. So every client that we gets assigned not only a career coach but a financial coach as well to kind of help try to ease that burden. But you're right, it does affect everybody differently, and it is more of a mental state. And it's just one of the things we want to do is make sure we get everybody in the right mental state.
Right. Before the show, me and you were kind of talking about some people, right? You said your job is to get them to the other side. Sometimes you run into a person that may be a little bit harder to get there. What do you think is holding people back from getting where they want to go?
I think some of it is just clinging to how things used to be. It's like, oh, well, you guys all know, you don't write resumes with objectives anymore. That's not a thing. But, some people, we got to have that objective. Or, when people come into a job search, oftentimes they don't really understand job search, right? They think we're just going to apply to a job and somebody's going to call.
Pray and pray.
That doesn't work.
Goodness, no.
It does not work. You need to be focused. That's one of the things that I want everybody to know is that if you are more shotgun based, just applying to everything out there, it's just like a shotgun. It's messy.
Yeah. Boy,
it goes everywhere.
Yeah.
You want to be like a laser and targeted on specific things in your job search.
Well, and I think that there's a problem for some people, and I'd like to hear kind of your opinion on this, because there's some people that they don't know what they want to do, right? They don't have a clear-cut direction, but if you have to be strategic in your search, how do they navigate that then?
That's interesting because I have a lot of clients who are in that position, because what's happened, Mark, is we all went into lockdown. And when that happened, we all had a lot of free time. And so what happened was everybody started kind of reflecting on things and like, do I even like my job?
Mm.
And so I've had more than a few clients go, I don't think I want to do this anymore. Okay, so what do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's the question. Now, everybody's going to come to that and figure that out themselves. Usually what I tell everybody is like, think about what it is you like. Like, what do you like to do?
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I always use the example of movies. Like, you like movies? Okay, go work at Cinemark, corporate office down on Dallas Parkway and Parker. So, but you get my drift. Like, if you like dogs, go work at Petco corporate.
I love that because I actually watched a video today. It was from Gary Vee, right? Gary Vaynerchuk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So his perspective on it was, it's almost like trying different foods, right? And how do you know what you like unless you go try a bunch of different things? And he's like, if you only ate pizza and hot dogs, well, how do you know you don't like sushi and, all these other different foods? You got to go try different things. And he said, you may not have the luxury to do that, right? The financial resources to just go try things, right? And that's where you got to do what you got to do to pay the bills. And then after hours, you're putting in the extra work. You're volunteering your time.
Absolutely. I had a conversation with a client the other day and she's like, well, because there's a potential offer. And she's like, what if I get the job and I don't like it? I'm like, go get another job. Like don't just quit that job, but like the internet doesn't sleep.
Yeah.
So you can still do things after hours to get something else or a different opportunity.
So let me tell you something. I transitioned from the auto industry into financial services. Okay. And I want to tell you, that was a tough transition. And let me explain why. I went from being a top producer in the auto industry, making $150,000 a year, to getting into something that I had no idea what I was getting myself into, to be honest with you.
Right.
Had no clue. And I had to work those 13, 14, 15-hour days in the car business.
Yeah.
And then go study after. Right?
Yeah.
After a 13, 14, 15-hour day. And then go on the weekends.
For your licenses.
For my licenses and getting all that stuff situated. And then on the weekends, I would go out with Brian Craig to go do field work. Right? When I'm supposed to be resting because I just put in a 15-hour day, I'm out in the field. So it's about putting in extra. It's about like, if you really want to make that transition to something new, it's going to take some effort. 8 hours, it may not be enough.
Yeah. You can pivot. You just said it.
Yeah.
You can do it, but you got to put time and work in.
You got to put the effort
It's just
in.
not going to come.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
that won't just come, will it?
Well, and kind of tie into that theme is guest after guest after guest. The last several shows that we've had, we've talked about this. It's been a kind of an underlying theme, and that is grit. Right? That is just fortitude, both mentally and physically or physiologically, just having the fortitude to put the work in to get to where you want to get to. I mean, it's not easy. You have to put the work in.
Right. You can't, that's the thing. You just can't give up. And what's the stats? Like the people that like, they're that close and then they give up and it's like the things, right? It's the next two things.
If you knew,
right?
Like that's the problem with it is you don't know when it's going to happen.
Right.
You can't see it. Right. But if you knew where it was, you would keep going. Right.
Right.
Like you would keep going, but because you can't see it, you stop. Right.
Yeah. That's the thing. Cause I talk to clients all the time and they're like, well, I just don't know if I'm going to get a job. I'm like, no, you're going to get a job. You're going to get a job. Now you've got to put in the work to get the job. I'm going to be here with you to try to help you get the job, but you're going to get the job. You've got to keep going. You want to quit. Like, you don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen.
We had a guy that was 28 months. Remember that? George. Loved him to death. Great guy. Amazing guy. Talented. I mean, really. 28 months. Can you imagine that? 28 months of rejection. Whew.
Yeah.
Man, it's not like he wasn't trying.
Kind of goes back to Trevor, you know this, sales mentality. Every no you get, it's going to get you that much closer to the yes. Right. And you only need the one. You only need the one.
Where's the money?
How many times do you follow up? Because I know there are a lot of job seekers out there that don't follow up. And you get the interview, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't hear anything, or maybe you do hear something. And they go, yeah, sorry, we're not interested. Okay. What now? You gonna follow up? By the way, that That's a warm lead, by the way. That's
Yeah.
a warm lead. Like, if you're still looking for work 4 to 6 weeks later, call them back and remind them that you met. What if the person they hired didn't work out? What if there's growth? Like, there's so many variables, but if you don't continue to follow up, you're not going to know.
When I was in the auto industry, my sales manager told me, just call them until they tell you to screw off.
Trevor, I don't want a car. Bye.
Right. You got to be persistent. Okay, now you don't want to be like, there's a fine line between being pesky, right? And being a pest and like, good follow-up. But the motto's the same. Until they tell you no, it's not closed yet. The door's not closed until they tell you no.
Yeah, but like 4 to 6 weeks on a follow-up is fine. Every week, every day is a little too much.
What's your definition of networking?
Here's what I always tell everybody. Networking is about helping. Go into networking with this attitude. How can I help you? People go to or attend networking events, and sometimes they have the wrong mindset, which is, what can you do for me? And that's not going to work. If you go into a networking situation, how can I help you? You're going to catch more genuine contacts. They're going to be more willing to help you. And one of the reasons, guys, I love this show is because you guys are a complete network. I've made so many connections just hanging out in the chat and talking to everybody, and everybody's willing to help everybody. Yeah. That is the best. I told everybody I know to watch. My wife and kid are home watching right now.
Nice.
Shout out to them. And I know my team is watching it as well.
Speaking of, guys, so he's inviting his friends and family. And you invite your friends and family.
That's
Just
right.
go ahead and hit that share button, right? I mean, or subscribe. Do whatever you feel, led to do. Jason, thank you so much, man. We appreciate you coming.
It's amazing being here. It's just so awesome.
Thanks for listening to the Who You Know Show podcast. My name is Trevor Houston, and if you've enjoyed this episode, consider subscribing wherever you listen and leave us a positive review to help us keep the mics on in the studio. Until next week, that's the show. It's all about who you know.